how should someone think about goal setting?
Well, one of the things that resonates with me, without a vision, the people perish. And I think that in order for you to have a goal, you have to have a
You use
strong,
that verse in like every
you have to have
conversation.
a strong why behind that
Glad you
goal.
like a Bible verse. Yeah, I love that verse too. Yeah.
So in the book I wrote, One Decision Can, I wrote that book because I was kind of struggling at some points where I needed to make some decisions about the future and was unsure about the future, and I didn't know what the future held. And so, how should people think about goal setting? Is you should think about it in terms of what what is it that you want to do, and most importantly, why. Why is it that those things are important? Like, okay, so there's things that you could say, okay, who do you want to be? What do you want to do? And what do you want to have? Well, who do you want to be is who you are on a daily basis, right? It's like the things that maybe I want to be a mom or a dad or a spouse or significant other. I want to be healthy. I want to be financially successful. I want to be involved in my community. I want to have good relationships with my friends and family. I want to be involved in my church. Whatever that looks like, you should have a clearly defined definition to clarify and verify who you want to be in each of those areas. And then what do you want to do with your time? Because the way you spend your time is the way you spend your life. And so ultimately, I think so often we get wrapped up and we get distracted or we get tempted by things that are social media or things that just pop up. Like, how many times have you had something pop up on your phone, right? And
Oh
you
yeah.
open it up, or somebody walks into your office and says, "Hey,
Completely
I need
distracted.
you to do something," but that's not on your agenda that day. And so we go into this default mode, and advertisers are paid billions of dollars to distract us and tempt us, and they're really good at it. And so what we need to do is we need to have something to combat that. And so I think having a plan for that is important.
Okay, so I think that you're right on that. Most of us start with what? Simon Sinek has made a fortune talking about starting with why. And while I agree with him kind of philosophically, I think that it's more practical that we do start with what, and that what being the vision.
Mm-hmm.
When Solomon wrote that proverb of without a vision, people perish, most commonly thought of without a vision from God. And I think that's a part of, we take a step back from life and we pray, God, give me the goals you want me to have.
Yep.
Think about those goals. I think a lot of times when we hear pray, we think, oh, we pray and do nothing else. No. Pray, think about it, roll it over in your mind, and now go do something about it. So we've got a vision, we've got a what. We've discovered our why because we've thought about it, we've prayed about it, we know why. So what is the next step? What do we go do when it comes to goal setting?
Well, so one of the biggest deficiencies we all have is vitamin A, is application. We don't we don't apply what we say we're going to do, and so the next step is to sit down and actually take some time. And another thing that comes to mind is be still and know that I'm God. And just be still for a minute and take some time to sit in silence and when there's so much noisiness going on in your life, it's hard to hear other things, and especially hard to hear what God's telling you. So I think sometimes if we can just slow down a little bit and we can take some time and be intentional about having a vision, and you got to think about really four things. It's like, okay, where are we headed? As a family, as a person, as a community, as a, whatever that is. Why are we going there? And then you want to ask yourself why 5 times. Okay. Do this exercise.
You are annoying when you do that. You do that to me all the time.
Look,
Why?
yeah. Look,
Why?
it's like the
You do
little,
it to everybody else. I'm glad
it's
you
like
listen to
your little
everybody else.
kids like asking, little kids do this all the time, right? Like, why should I do it? Why?
But it's very effective. It is effective.
Like, why, mommy? Why should I do that? And so, and then finally, you just get to the point where like you get to the real answer, if you'll do that. So
you really do. There's a time in that why. And I think you can possibly do it to yourself. It's kind of a challenge to do it to yourself. But I know that the times, in all seriousness, that you've done that to me when we've done planning of all sorts over the last few years, there's somewhere in there that there's a breakthrough answer, and the person giving the answer and the person hearing the answer knows it, that's the real reason.
Yeah.
And you want to hang on to that why. You want to hold on to that why, because when times get hard, this is what you follow.
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard this in business owners of startups that grew enormously successful, and they all had this point where it was hard and most people quit. I've heard missionaries talk about this, where they had this overwhelming call of God because there was going to be an event way down the road that God, of course, knew was going to happen, that they knew they were supposed to be in that country, in that dark place, because God called them to be there. And that was their why. And they could hang on to that why. They could hang on to that calling. But I think an everyday person can do the exact same thing. And I say every day, we all are extraordinary in ways, and we are all average in areas of our life. Financially speaking, we can hang on to that why, because then we know why we're being generous with our money. Why are we fighting through to pay off this debt and budgeting when it's colossally boring and drudgery,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because there's this future we're looking for. Why are we reinvesting our money when people are taking their money and going to buy toys with it? I'd rather go buy a bass boat, right?
Right.
I'd rather go buy a ski boat or a cabin in the mountains. No, I'm investing it so that my daughters can go to college one day. That why is imperative.
Yeah.